Bienvenido a la reunión de hoy. Para ingresar al canal de español, simplemente busque el logotipo del mundo abajo de la pantalla del dispositivo que está y ahí va a decir Interpretation, va a seleccionar ese icono y luego va a querer seleccionar el idioma español o Spanish. Ya después de oprimir ese botón, también quiere oprimir el que dice Mute Original Audio. Eso significa silenciar audio original. Aparte de eso, si tiene algún problema técnico a través de Zoom y por alguna razón no puede escuchar la interpretación en español, simplemente puede llamar a la línea gratuita que está aquí en la pantalla. Y el número es el 877-336-4440 y el código de acceso es el 22-75-287 y tecla o el signo de número. Y en este momento quiero preguntar si alguna persona tiene algún problema técnico o tiene alguna pregunta a base de esto de la interpretación o el canal de español. Okay, parece que no estoy escuchando nada, ninguna mano levantada. I think we can proceed, Julia.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, welcome again, everyone. And so I'd like to introduce myself, Julia Salinas with the Institute for Local Government, and my facilitation team is here today as well. We've got Erica and Randy Kay in the background as well. So I'm not sure if you can see them, but they will be waving to you if so. And then I also want to just hand it over to Jessica Olson from the Air District to also welcome everyone today.
Yes. Thank you, Julia, and good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Olson. I am the Director of Community Strategies and Resources at the Air District. And I just wanted to welcome everyone. We really hope and designed this meeting and touch base with a few folks to make sure that this meeting is going to be a little different than the last few meetings. You might have seen that we scheduled a separate meeting for next week to talk about some of the process we still have to go through, talking about the charter that we'll touch base on in a moment here. But we wanted this meeting to really start to dig deep into what are the community's sources of air quality concern. What really brought you to the table? What do you see as the experts in your community as the reason for bringing 617 resources to the area? So we're going to break out into breakout groups, really get to know each other, get to know our individual concerns, and really make sure this is a really interactive process. So we're very excited about today. It should feel very different than the last few meetings, and we should really leave this meeting. Our goal is to leave this meeting with the Air District and CARB having a really good understanding of what's going to drive the process moving forward. So welcome, and we're really excited. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jessica. All right, so I'll jump ahead, and before we dive into the agenda itself, I'll go through a few Zoom protocols. So as I mentioned before, updating your screen name, and we'll also help with this. So just including if you're a CSC member, specifically if you're a resident, putting an R. And we'll also go through with our team and help rename those folks that haven't yet. In terms of virtual meeting etiquette, we'd love everyone to stay on mute unless you're speaking or planning to speak. If you're on the phone only, you can press *6. You can also raise your Zoom hand to be able to speak, and press *9 as well if you're on the phone only. And for those residents that are in the stipend program, just a note to say that we'd like for you to stay for 75% of the meeting to be eligible for the stipend. So that would be 90 minutes for a 2-hour meeting. So in terms of kind of, all of these meetings in general, the goal that we have is to really have productive discussion and respectful dialogue. So this is a set of meeting agreements and kind of guidelines to make sure that we have that outcome. So our goal is really to help achieve the meeting goals, focusing on solutions, opportunities, and really productive dialogue. Our goal is for everyone to participate. So this includes both stepping up to voice your thoughts and your concerns, and also to step back and give other people space to share what they're thinking and feeling as well. The goal is to be civil and respectful. It's totally okay to disagree, but we do want to always be respectful, empathetic, and civil. We want to stay on point and on time, so the agendas are tight. We only have so much time dedicated to each item. And so we want to make sure that we're very focused and really can get through our agendas. So we want people to keep their comments brief, to the point, and this really allows everyone enough time to share. We also want to make sure we attack the problem, not the person. Again, this is about, respectfully challenging ideas, but never attacking a person specifically. And the goal is to honor every person's humanity and dignity. Lastly, our goal is to seek common ground, building consensus and finding shared values, and knowing that this is really what's going to help achieve the best results. We'll share this in Spanish as well, for those of you that'd like to read a little bit here. Great. So I'll briefly go over the agenda. So Jessica kind of gave a high level of, we're very excited about today because we're really going to dive into the content of why we're all here, and just the knowledge that you will all bring to this process. So we'll start with first a very short overview of the Community Steering Committee Charter and kind of the update on that and the next steps for that. A brief overview of the glossary of commonly used air quality and AB 617 terms. And then we'll dive into the meat of today's meeting, which is breaking out into small groups to talk about community sources of air quality concern. From there, we'll wrap up and talk about next steps and have public comment. So that's an overview of the agenda, and I'm going to stop my share here. And I just want to make sure one more time, if there's anyone that may be having issues connecting on the Spanish line, or any other technical issues that they'd like to jump in at this point. Marisela, let me know if you hear of any issues, if everything sounds good on your end for the Spanish line too. And one more quick note, if you are using one device for multiple people in your household and you're all members, you could put your names in the chat as well. We want to make sure we record everyone for stipend purposes as well. So excellent. So I'll hand it back over to Jessica to move on with the agenda.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you again all for being here. So I was just briefly going to touch on some of the next steps for some of the main things that we've been talking about at the last couple of meetings. So as you all know, one of the basic foundations of a steering committee is having a steering committee charter in place. And we went over this the past couple meetings. The charter will really help us design exactly the roles of the steering committee, the responsibilities of the steering committee of the Air District, and how we want to lead the committees moving forward. So at the last meeting, we sent out the draft version of the charter. So you should have all received that. So definitely throw something in the chat or raise your hand right now if you did not receive the draft charter. And in that draft charter, we asked you guys to kind of digest the information there, give us any feedback that you may have had or questions or concerns about any of the language there. And we also asked, if you recall, for folks to think about who could be community co-leads, meaning someone who's the one or a couple point people that work directly with the district, with the facilitation team to design future meetings. This doesn't mean that everyone else won't be involved in helping come up with agenda topics or come up with sort of what the next steps may be, but the co-leads are really like the main people, really kind of in the weeds, really getting out there in the community, working deeply with the district and the facilitators moving forward. So we did receive a couple of comments on the charter, a couple of questions, and then as you recall last time too, we talked a lot about co-leads. Then there were some names that were brought up, and that was Gustavo Aguirre Jr. from CCEJN as a CBO co-lead, as well as Bianca Santoyo and Jesus Alonso, both residents in the committee. So we are still working through and talking to those folks, just really making sure we all understand the responsibilities and want to help make sure that this is a community-driven process. So we did have a request, and you should have already received it. And again, let me know if you have not. But we're going to have a separate meeting to talk about this. We thought it was really important to make sure it gave it due time. We gave everyone a little bit more time to think about some of the comments that came through that we will share with you by the end of the week. And give us sort of a separate space to talk about really what's a very important thing moving forward. Luckily, we're not really at the point where we're making big decisions today. This is the sort of meeting where we're actually kind of laying the foundation. So we're not taking a vote today on anything, and we're not doing anything that requires us to really understand some nitty-gritty details that are in the charter. Today is really a free-for-all for anyone and everyone involved in this process to set the foundation for what concerns or questions may be about the community. So we just wanted to give you that update. Like I said, please let us know, drop it in the chat or email us if you did not receive that original draft charter, but know that we are going to send out a charter for you all to review with some of the comments maybe that we can consider next week. One other thing I wanted to address here is that when it comes to sending things out, as you all know, we've been sending things out via email, and there are a small handful of folks who do not have email addresses that we have been directly mailing things to. So definitely keep an eye out on your email, and definitely let us know if you are having trouble receiving anything. If I'm saying things right now and you don't know kind of what attachments we're talking about, please let us know, and we will definitely make sure we can get those to you in the proper format. So with that, that's actually all we had about the charter. We'd certainly, like I said, we'll send you something by the end of the week to review for next week, so you have plenty of time to think about it. But I would love to take any questions or answer any concerns before moving on.
Great. And do you also want to mention the date and time for
that? Yes,
meeting?
sorry, I kept saying next week and wasn't very specific. Someone maybe help me out. It's on August 5th, which is next Thursday, and I believe it's at 5 p.m.
That's right.
I'm not wrong about any of this. Good, yay. August 5th, next Thursday at 5 p.m. We did schedule it for an hour and a half. We do think it is the only thing on the agenda. We want to make it a succinct conversation. And again, we will send out information ahead of time for you all to do your due diligence and your work ahead of time. And then just so you are all aware, for those of you that are part of the stipend program, this is we will make it as a regular steering committee meeting. So unlike some subcommittee meetings in the future that are sort of one-off, that this is intended to be, we want anyone and everyone there. It will be eligible to receive a stipend. So definitely keep that in mind when you're kind of thinking about budgeting your time and resources to get there. So we certainly appreciate everyone's patience with that process, but we also, we're excited. Hopefully others are excited to kind of take a breath for a moment when it comes to procedural stuff and really start talking about the process for getting emissions reductions in the community.
Great, thank you, Jessica.
Yeah.
And is the meeting invite coming, or was it already sent? I forget if is it on people's calendars?
That is
for next week.
Great question. Zong or Heather, do we know if it's ever on everyone's calendars? Thanks, Julia.
Or if it will be coming soon.
If it's not, it will certainly be coming soon, because like I said, we do owe you materials and an agenda. Oh, I believe we sent out a save the date with our recent email, but I'm not sure.
Sorry, it's coming out during this meeting or right after this meeting. So I'll send out the calendar invite, but it was noted in the emails, the reminder emails, that to please save the date. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes, thank you, Zong. I appreciate that.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so
Julia, I'm going to go ahead and pause this just a minute, make sure that we get, I think we do have someone on the Spanish, so I want to make sure we got time to ask for their name and information.
Okay, great.
Okay, we kept hearing some background noise, so we think that there's someone else on the line, but we are currently not getting their name.
Okay, great. Well, let me know if you need any pauses later as well from us. So.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Jessica, for the overview for this charter meeting. We are looking forward to a really robust conversation next week and hope that all of you can make it. And so with that, we'd like to move on, and the next agenda item is to talk about the glossary of commonly used terms. And so again, I'll hand it over to Jessica, and we can dive into that before jumping to the main activity for today's meeting. Oh, I see one hand up. Gus Jr., go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry. And we're moving on to the glossary. Does that mean we're done talking about the charter?
Yeah.
Yes, unless there are questions.
Yeah. I only had a clarifying question for like the objective or next steps. So assuming that everyone received the charter, I guess the responsibility of the members, or partly the responsibility of the members, is to look over this. And if they see something that is worthy of change or something that needs to be added, to send over the comments to you all. But then also there's on the 5th of August, there's a meeting. We'll have a solely dedicated time to give feedback on that. And if we don't have it in by writing, we could do it then?
Certainly. And I think I can imagine a scenario, right, where it's, you know, if we, at the end of that meeting, people have a consensus and we do want to move forward with that as the charter, that's great. But yes, that will be the meeting to discuss some of the comments. I will say we only received, you know, we had, to your point, Gustavo, that was the ask that we had of the committee a month ago. And through that whole process, the deadline was last week and we did have one comment. So other than that, folks, you know, seemed to be, you know, we took it as sort of a general consensus that there weren't any other comments. But to your point, with that one comment, we definitely want to go over some of those potential changes, questions, and then, so yes, so that will be the time to discuss them, as well as the co-lead piece that we want to kind of finalize and figure out at that meeting.
Okay, and then just to be very clear, is it too late or is it not too late to send like potential suggestions on the charter?
I mean, per the deadline, of course, we were asked that it be earlier, but it's definitely not too late. The only issue I would say is that the reason we had a deadline when we did is because things need to be translated, and we would like any potential changes to be out to the committee for people to consider ahead of time. Certainly, if in the spirit of that discussion, things come up during the meeting, of course, that would be part of the discussion as well. But yeah, certainly that is kind of what the intention of that deadline was last week, was to make sure we had time to translate it, get it back out to the committee, which is our goal tomorrow, is to get that back out a week ahead of the next meeting. So that is a little bit of the sticking point. But you know, of course, this is a process. So ahead of next meeting, there are, you know, major things that someone, you know, we can't live without, and we definitely need to comment on. We'll definitely bring it up with the committee, but that certainly just means that, you know, process-wise, it would probably maybe not be fully integrated in the charter at the next meeting.
And so the best way to get comments to you all would probably be today or tomorrow via email directly to someone.
That would be great, guys. If you do have additional comments and you got it to us today or tomorrow, now again, we just have to keep in mind that might delay us getting potential changes out to the whole committee. I mean, of course, we can get things out via email, but for the folks that need it, you know, in Spanish hard copy, there, you know, there's just a little bit of a delay there, but certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll also just mention that, you know, next week's meeting is a chance to really kind of dive into the charter and make sure everyone understands it, what it means, what the implications are. So it's a chance to then have that discussion once, you know, we know it'll be our first meeting. So it's our chance to really dive in and answer any of those questions and get people all kind of up to speed on it. So.
Yeah, thank you. And the only question was because with a group of residents, as we were reading through this this week, I think there was very little or no language on like the co-host. So there's a part where it's like co-leads and co-hosts, and it talks very thoroughly about the co-leads, but not too in depth about the co-host itself, right? So like what language can we add or should be added? That way we know exactly. So
I will tell you right now, that is one of some of the comments we also received from the one other commenter. So hopefully, maybe what we'll do is we'll see, you know, of course, please submit any comments you have, but you'll see some of the proposed new language, like I said, by the end of the week, sent out ahead of next meeting, and maybe that will address it. And then to Julia's point, we work through it at the meeting next week.
Nice.
Great, excellent. And I see another hand up. So Kevin Hamilton, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you. As you know, I'm going to be the alternate for Janet while she's out on leave. She'll be gone probably for about 3 months and should have happy news when she comes back. Okay. So we do have comments for the charter, and she and I didn't get a chance to meet on that until a couple of days ago. So you're saying just send them to you, Jessica, or?
Yeah, if you can reply to that email that they originally sent out. So that kind of goes to a few folks here, which is the ab617@valleyair.org.
All righty.
Yep.
They are done. We will get those out tonight or tomorrow. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. Excellent. Any other clarifying questions about next week's meeting, the process up until then? Okay. Sounds like we are ready to jump to the next agenda item. So Jessica, I'll hand it over.
Which is actually Heather, not me. So
okay, excellent.
And actually on that point, can we do a little bit of housekeeping? We are still in the background preparing for the next activity after this, and there's a few folks that we just need to clarify. first, we have Jose's iPhone. Did that get updated? Are we putting public anywhere?
Great. And it looks like there are, 4 Jose's on the committee. So we're not sure which one of those is Jose's iPhone. If you could share either in the chat or verbally.
Perfect. Thank you. And also Gustavo. Is that Gustavo Aguirre Sr.? It just says Gustavo. And if you could help identify, there is one phone number that starts with 661 and ends in 1340. If you could help us figure out who you are. 1340.
I think this is Gustavo Aguirre Sr. And I'm the alternate to Paulina Torres, but she's not here today, so I will be covering for her.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll get your name updated.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent.
This is Jose Ojeda.
And that's Jose's iPhone. Thank you, Jose.
Jose Ojeda. Estoy.
Ojeda. Well, the team will rename you right now. Oh, and Bianca put it in chat. Thanks, Bianca. Okay, I will do my best to speak slowly because I get excited and I speak fast, just like Jess. So we are one of our last correspondence to you. We sent you a link to the glossary, and I'm actually going to show you where it lives. And in that same email, hopefully you had a chance to look at it. We were trying to kind of give you an idea of the resources that we're assembling that will stay on the website and be available sort of throughout our process. And hopefully you can see that now. A quick nod from anyone. But on the community profile page for Arvin, this is where everything lives for our committee. It's also where the glossary is that we connected you to in our last email. And you can find lots of good information here. But what I really wanted to do is just let you know that, whoops, can you see that? There we go. Can you see the glossary now?
Yes.
Perfect. Definitely a unique experience when you are sharing your screen. Jess has said this many times. You get a little nervous because you're not sure what people can see. And you don't want to be showing your family picture in the background. This is the glossary of commonly used air quality and AB 617 terms. This is by no means a complete list. This is a chance for us to start compiling some of the things that we will talk extensively about in the next few meetings with some definitions for background for you guys. The air quality education is going to be intense moving forward, not unreasonable, but definitely a lot of things coming at you. And we wanted to get this put together for you. But what we're going to do is after tonight's meeting, after we get a chance to talk with all of you and have some discussion, we're going to make sure that we've got the gist of what we think should be there. And I'm going to put this in the mail to all of you so that you can just tuck it in your files for the CSC. But the glossary itself, we'll continue to update it, and it will continue to live on our steering committee page. So the resource will always be available to you, but I promise you I will get one into the mail after tonight's meeting. Am I missing anything, Jess?
I was just going to say, so, you know, as we move forward, we would love it if as we keep talking and we keep referencing things,
yes,
and there maybe is a term that we keep using that isn't in this glossary, or we're not doing a good job. We tend to talk a lot in acronyms and we are trying to do better. But if we say something that doesn't make sense, or you think, you know what, this is something that I keep trying to remember and it's not in this glossary, let us know. We can continually update this. We want it to be a resource for you and for the folks that you interact with. So please, when Heather sends you the paper copy, kind of use it and keep it at your desk, maybe while you're participating in these virtual meetings. It's maybe easier than holding it up on your screen or constantly having to bring it up. So that's why we wanted to send every single person a paper copy of this. So yeah, that's I think Heather otherwise definitely covered sort of the intent of the glossary. But we are looking, of course, always for feedback. So if as you scroll through it and you think something needs more clarification, I think things will become clearer over time. We do intend the next regular CSC meeting after the charter meeting to talk more about just foundations of air quality and the emissions inventory. Things will start to kind of fall into place. And so maybe after a couple of meetings, that, the glossary will make more sense. But as we move forward, if that still isn't the case, we can keep editing and keep working on it.
Thank you, Jess. One last housekeeping, as I shift gears back and look at the participant list, we still have one miscellaneous iPhone. If my team can help me look at the bottom of that list, there's not even a number or a name. And since they're participating by phone, we're having trouble reaching them. If you could identify yourself, that would be very helpful.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we hear from that person and figure out who that is. And meanwhile, it sounds like we are done with the glossary section. Any quick questions about the glossary or the process there, and how that will be a helpful tool for folks before we move on? Okay, great. Thank you, Heather. That was a great overview. Okay, so next is the exciting agenda item, which is where we're really going to get to dive in. I know Jessica's very excited about this. So this is really the chance to dive in about, really crowdsourcing, learning from all of you, the CSC members in this group, that really hold the information and the knowledge. And this is why the CSC is so important. So I'm going to let Jessica kind of describe the process for breaking into small groups and what this activity will be and what the goal is here. And just quickly, after our small groups, we will come back together, hear from each of the small groups, kind of what the highlights were, and get a sense of kind of what was said across all of the groups. And then we'll jump into wrap up from there. So Jessica, go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you. So again, I am really excited. And I think the reason this is so exciting are a couple of things. One is I think we found, and even the couple of times we've done it in this team, breaking up into small groups just makes this meeting so much more intimate, and we all get a chance to share a little bit. There are a lot of people on this meeting. You actually see a lot more support staff than we normally have, and that's because of the small groups we're about to do. So a couple of things. We are going as an AIR district to walk you through an exercise, and I will share with you a brief version of what that's going to look like. So I'm going to share my screen really briefly here. You've seen this map a billion times, right? We talked a lot about the boundary, but this map is a little bit different. And this map allows us to walk through an exercise where we can specifically pinpoint the concerns that you are each going to voice in your breakout groups. So we're going to break out into groups where the district staff member is going to have you all introduce yourselves. Someone can maybe volunteer to be the report out person that Julia mentioned. We would certainly love that, especially if it was a resident. And then you'll each kind of go down the line or have kind of a free-for-all discussion where you don't have to work this tool at all. The person from the AIR district will share their screen, and you will all talk about general things that could be sources of air quality concern in your area. We actually do have this in Spanish as well, so I'll show what that looks like in a moment. But essentially, you look at these icons even and identify something that maybe is a concern that you've seen. So if it was my turn, I would kind of tell my district person that generally, if I'm talking about things that maybe really made me want to participate in the AB 617 program for my community, I would talk about the smoke that perhaps I see on a particular corner within the community. So the district person, if you tell them maybe it's a specific address that they could type in, or it's a specific location that you can help navigate them to, they can actually place that marker. And this is just me doing a test, so I'll delete this in a moment. You tell them exactly what you're seeing. Maybe I'm seeing smoke in the area. Wow, typing in front of a lot of people is really nerve-wracking. I'm seeing smoke in the area. And maybe I have specific concerns. Maybe I know there's a school nearby. So these are things that I'll just mention to the person who's facilitating. They'll add it here. They'll add my comment. And as all of us do these in all of these different breakout groups, we'll actually eventually be able to see at the same time, we can keep refreshing the map, and we'll see sort of this map all across the entire boundary of concerns that the community has. And it will start to help us develop the foundations of what will be the community emissions reduction program, as well as our air monitoring program. So once we kind of know what sources of concern we have, and then at the next meeting, we talk maybe more about the technical stuff. So emissions inventory, meaning what do we know is coming out of certain sources? When we layer those two together, that's when we can really start to understand what we want to do in the community. So with that, unless there are any major questions, what we'll do is every single person, once we do the breakout groups, you'll get just, like I said, an opportunity to introduce yourselves, to talk a little bit amongst yourselves, and then the district person will ask you some questions and just kind of walk you through this process. As I mentioned, and I'm just going to share my screen briefly, and then I do see that there's a question. Up here, a couple of things I'll mention. One is that we do have the ability, I know it's not perfect, but right now it's a very quick way we can all see everyone's comments at the same time. But we do have the ability to do this completely in Spanish. And those of you who are Spanish only speakers or prefer to communicate in Spanish, we have put an SP in front of your name. Let us know if we need to add that if it isn't there. And you can participate in a group that will actually even take notes in Spanish. And all of the English speaking folks can see the folks translated to English, and then vice versa. You should be able to, again, it's not going to be perfect, but you should be able to eventually, it recalibrates itself and says things that the English speakers said, but in Spanish. So that is the intent. And then of course, afterwards, we will share all of this with everyone so they can see sort of the results of this, not only in real time, but we'll also summarize it and get it back out to the committee. The last thing I want to say is that we know that there are people who aren't able to participate tonight. That understandably happens. The reason you saw and you'll see as people pop up a space for email addresses and names and whether or not they're residents is we will also send a link out for those that were not available to participate today can still participate and add their sources of concern. So there are multiple ways to participate in multiple opportunities. So with that, I'll definitely go to Julia. I know that there's a question, it looks like from Jesus.
Great. Yes, we've got one question. And actually, before we dive into that, I wanted to make sure that if you could share with everyone kind of into the bigger picture of 8617 and the overall process, why this activity and this part of the process is important and how it impacts everything else.
Absolutely. So we hope we've made it, we've talked about it a lot, but we really truly have talked about process and how this is a community-driven process, but truly it's a community-driven process to improve the air quality in this area. And so in order for us to improve the air quality, of course, there are foundations in sort of our scientific assessment, meaning the Air District, and CARB, the California Air Resources Board, we do know what the air quality is on, kind of on a regional scale. We do know what the emissions are, meaning we do know what pollutants are out there. But at the end of the day, the way that it's community driven is we also want to know what you experience in your everyday. We don't live there. We don't experience the air quality the same way you all do. So this really drives home the aspect that this is truly a community-driven, community-level process. It's not just necessarily going off of what do we know from the inventory or from the monitoring we have now, but what are you seeing that can drive how we get better monitoring, drive how we maybe get a better inventory, or especially drive how we develop the emission reduction plan that will help us reduce emissions, meaning essentially just cleaning up our air.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. All right. So we'll hear from Jesus.
Hi. I just had a quick question. I'm sorry if you've already shared this. For pollution sources, are we focusing only within the border, or can we identify pollution sources outside the border?
We of course ask that we, we only have so much time right now, and it'd be nice if we got things in the border. But of course, if you have concerns outside the border, mapping those is good for us to start to understand, right? We've talked about this before. If it's impacting the border, but it's a source that you see outside the border, maybe note that when the person, if you're talking to someone and you say, there's something just over the boundary, I know it's what I'm smelling within the boundary or what I'm seeing within the boundary. Definitely that's okay. We would like to focus on the border, but of course, if there are things that are impacting this community, these are notes that we're taking from you all. So we certainly want to hear about that.
Great, excellent question. And then before we move on, we've got one more renaming question. We have a Maria on the line whose Zoom name just says Maria, and we're not sure who that is exactly. So if you're able to either put in the chat to your full name so we make sure we've got you as the right Maria, that'd be excellent, or feel free to share verbally. Then we have one more as well, which is
María Martínez es mi nombre.
gracias. Okay, María Martínez. Perfecto. Gracias. And then I was just informed one more as well. It looks like a Dieter might be on the line, D-I-E-R-D-R-E, and we're not quite sure who that is either. So, okay. So yeah, if you could put in the chat, that'd be great. Excellent. Okay, so I think we're ready to move into groups. Jessica, do you want to give any cues, or whoever's going to press the magic button to put us into our small groups?
Yes. I think Zong, whenever she's ready, will press the magic button. Just so you all know, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Zong, it will automatically send people to groups, but there will be briefly a moment where you can just click on something, or will it just automatically send us?
Yes, once I open all rooms, then everyone should be sent into a room. If for whatever reason you want to pop out and go to a different room, like if you're in the Spanish room and you want to be in English or vice versa, just go ahead and leave that room and you'll drop into the main room, and I can move you to a different room. So just to let you know, if you have any questions, I believe you can click on need help. There's a button, and I will look for you and try to help you.
Excellent, thank you. And we will be sending a heads up for all of the small group facilitators, staff that are managing. So we'll let you know when we've got kind of like, 15 minutes left, 10 minutes left, that type of thing. So you have a good idea of that. So any other quick notes, Jessica, that we want to share as
reminder? Where the district folks are facilitating and they're going to take the notes in the map. But you are all, we would love it if you were all the folks reporting out to the larger committee, so we can have just a general understanding after the exercise from like kind of what the general theme was. So it doesn't have to be a long report out, but if you can provide a 30-second, 1-minute high-level overview, we'd like you guys to volunteer. So when you get in your groups, be the first one to volunteer and you win a prize. So
excellent. All right, thank you.
Okay, you guys ready?
Has a question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you put your hand down. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, just very quick clarifying question. The point of this is for residents to address these concerns, and then the Air District will be the one typing these down on the maps, right? So we'll just verbally calling them out. Okay.
Yep. So you're not expected. Don't worry if this, like what I just did, kind of seemed intimidating. You can certainly, you're just verbalizing. We'll be typing it out for you. So everyone can participate, even if you're all maybe using the same computer, or even if you're on just the phone and you are in a breakout group, or you don't want to turn on your camera, any of all those things, just verbalizing and we'll take notes. And this is for everyone, that's part of the CSC group.
And sorry, one more rename. It's A52 the Elvia. If you could let us know who you are as well, if you're a member of the public or CSC member, feel free to put in the chat. Be the best. Thank you.
Christine.
I'm wondering too, if, for the kind of the lingering folks, maybe we can start breakout groups and then we can kind of maybe get them in one by one.
Got it.
Yes, thank you.
You guys ready?
All right, see you all in a bit.
All right, thank you.
Forgive me. I'm not a community steering committee member. I'm just from industry at large. I forget how I'm supposed to identify myself. If you would remind me of the letters to use, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, we can rename you as well. I think we just put a P in front for public. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
In front. I've got it pulled up. I'm happy to do it. I just late in the day and I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
The cheat sheet's on that first slide, so I know it's not up.
Apologize. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Give me just a second, folks. I am working on pulling up the live map so we can watch. And for those watching us on YouTube, on social media, we can watch as the committees who are in breakout rooms at the moment, they are marking on the map potential sources of concern in their community. And we have the ability to share that map, and I'm working on pulling that up for you.
I see the note from the Amelia from as the interpreter, and if there is a need for her to maybe join any of the Spanish small groups, I don't know that we need that, but looks like the offer is there for any sort of help that we might need.
Thank you, Amelia. just a quick update. I'm refreshing the screen so that you can see here, they're working in their groups right now. The map is being populated with comments from the community. And that is awesome because that's happening in breakout rooms as we speak.
That's so cool. Well, to do that in real time, and I know in Shafter we had Post-it notes and different ways of doing things like this in group settings, but to be able to do it virtually and in real time is super cool.
Yeah, technology really has come a long way. I mean, I think to be honest, we would all much rather be in person together. You know, doing that, we did before COVID, our AB 617 process, this exact process. We worked on a computer, but we also did sticky notes.
Yeah, I remember lots of Post-its on easels in Shafter.
Yes, exactly. But the only thing is I have to keep refreshing, and every time I refresh, you see a refresh screen with about 6 or 8 dots now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Hello again, everyone. I'm just periodically coming back to let you know that if you are watching online, we are in the middle of our AB 617 Community Steering Committee meeting for Arvin, Lamont in Kern County. And all of our committee members are in breakout rooms working on plotting on the map that you see on your screen sources of concern that they have in their community. And they're leaving notes and discussing those concerns. And at the end of this exercise, we will have a map with lots of things to discuss.
Hi, I see someone with the iPhone. Are you a resident on the CSC or a member of the CSC? There's a Jose's iPhone and an iPhone.
Escribimos ya mucho para esta definitiva. Ok, so voy a poner muchos de los hogares, voy a poner muchos tienen, voy a cortarle un poquito. Muchos tienen.
Hi, Jose.
So, Ojeda?
Hi. Are you a member of the CSC?
No, soy residente de Arvin.
Yo les puedo explicar un poquito más como a Jesse, a Heather para que ellos sepan un poquito más y no podemos cambiar. Pero nomás tenemos, ¿cómo se dice?
Reina or Amelia, can you guys help?
Okay. So vamos a agregar este comentario y luego
Okay. Would you like to, I'm going to put you in a breakout room then? Were you in a breakout room?
No. Sí, lo que pasa es que estoy teniendo problemas con mi internet y se me quita y le vuelvo a entrar, entonces me manda de diferente grupo.
I think that's Jose Ojeda, and he lost his internet and needs to get put back in the room.
Okay, I will put you back in a room.
Muchas gracias.
No problem, Jose.
Hello.
Hello. Hola.
Hola, mi nombre es José Chávez.
Jose Chávez. Gracias.
Sí, también de la ciudad de Arvin. Estaba, porque también pues estaba en problemas con la conexión, pero ya la tengo ahorita, entonces, nada más, no sé qué grupo me pusieron, pero igualmente, apoyo todas las decisiones que los compañeros han dicho y pues adelante.
Julia, I was hoping I could lean on you.
Hey, hello. José, ¿quieres estar en un grupo pequeño? ¿Podemos ponerte
Sí.
Otra vez en un grupo?
Sí.
Ya, ok. ¿Y estabas en un grupo antes? ¿O quieres
Sí,
poner?
sí.
¿Y cuál grupo era? ¿Con quién recuerdas algunos nombres? Para ponerte en el mismo grupo, pero si no, está bien.
No me recuerdo para qué le he dicho, no sé, pero es que como estaba no fuera de casa, entonces, pero venía conectando, a la conexión venía, pero a veces se escuchaba, a veces no, entonces por eso porque ya estoy aquí en casa y estoy recomprando, pues, o sea, nuevamente, pero estoy aquí en línea de todas maneras.
Ok, ¿y cuál es su nombre entero? José
Chávez.
Chávez, ok, muy bien. Voy a
Chávez de aquí de Arvin.
Ok, perfecto. ¿Y eres parte del comité?
Sí.
Ya, ok. Un presidente del comité, perfecto. Voy a ponerte en un grupo entonces.
Sí.
Ok, gracias. Heather, we can put Jose in one of the groups, Spanish-speaking groups.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and put him in.
Hello again, everyone. If you are just joining us on YouTube or watching, all of our CSC members are currently in breakout rooms. They are working on the map that you see on your screen. And as they work and point out sources of concerns, they're discussing them and plotting them on the map. So we'll have a nice, useful tool full of information and feedback from residents and folks that live and work in the area as to their biggest concerns for air pollution. And so that is what you are seeing on the screen. They will be in those groups for quite a little while longer. So please stay with us or check back soon. The map will stay on the screen and we'll check in again. Hello, everyone. Just checking back in to let you know if you're watching online, we are working on a sources of pollution map in breakout rooms currently. And all of the committee members are working on a map that I will put back up on the screen and show you. And they are discussing sources of concerns. And when the map gets pulled up, you will see all of the places that they have concerns, and we will discuss it soon when they come back.
Hi, Heather. Hold on a second. I see Lizette. Lizette, are you part of RCSC, a member of RCSC?
Yes, I'm part of the board, but I don't know if they sent two different links. I don't know if I'm in the right one.
Okay. Is this Lizette, or what's your last name?
Lopez.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I see you on our list. I will put you in one of the rooms. Just give me a
Okay,
second.
thank you.
Mhm.
Y sí, no se va a poder.
Zong, did you ask about the other couple of names here that are unidentified? Because I left the room for a little bit.
I see a Sunshine T1 trying to log in.
Okay.
And then Jamie is, I think, our Jamie.
Okay. And then I see a 661 number too.
Yeah, that one just popped up. I'm not sure who that is.
Okay. Yeah, whoever's on the 661-436 number, if you'd like to share, if you're a member of the public or otherwise, we can rename you.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm in the right meeting.
Okay. Yeah, this is the AB 617 meeting for Arvin, Lamont.
Oh yes, it's the right one.
Perfect. Welcome. Are you a member of the public or part of the CSC or otherwise?
I'm part of CSC. My name is Lucia Alcala.
Say that one more time. What's your name?
Lucia Alcala.
Oh, great. Okay, so we will add your name here too, and then we can actually put you in a breakout group. So everyone is in breakout groups right now, which is why it's so silent here. So we'll do that. Let me rename you first, and then we'll get you into a group. Are you fine with English or Spanish, or English only, or
English is fine. I know both though.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Perfect. So let's see. Excellent. Zong, do you want to put Lucia in one of the groups? Okay.
I can do that. Now that I see her rename. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome and thank you. Julia, just a quick update.
Yes.
We now have Tanya back in the main channel. I had to lean on you earlier because
Can you
I
hear
had
me now?
accidentally
Can you
silenced
hear me
her.
well now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I
Thank
was
you.
interpreting in the English channel, but I don't think anybody was there. Just
right,
me.
correct.
Okay.
We're all here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And just a quick update for those maybe just joining us or potentially watching on the YouTube channel. You are watching the Arvin Lamont AB 617 Community Steering Committee meeting. And all of our committee members are currently in breakout rooms, virtual breakout rooms within the Zoom meeting that we're having. And they are working on the map that you see on your screen. And that map is, the pink line is the boundary of the Arvin Lamont area that has been defined by this AB 617 process. And they're discussing sources of concern that they have in and around that area and marking them on the map with comments and feedback, which will guide our discussion moving forward as we do air monitoring in this community and establish measures to work on these sources of concern.
Heather and Zong, I'm just jumping back into the main room, and it'd be great to give everyone a time check. So I think we have about either 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how much we want to give for.
You did not see the one we just sent? You might have been jumping out.
Oh, good. I was probably just jumping out. Great.
Yeah, we just sent a 10-minute.
Perfect. Thank you.
Oh, good. I was wondering, and we guessed right.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. Just another quick check-in. If you're just joining us or watching online and you're wondering what's going on, the map on your screen is of the Arvin Lamont community area, and all of the members of our community steering committee are currently in virtual breakout rooms discussing that map and their sources of air quality concern. And they are noting in the areas on the map and putting notes with it, and it will serve as a great discussion point moving forward as we work in this community. Should be about 10 minutes and the main meeting will resume with all members back in the main room.
Just want to make a quick note, Lucia, I see that you're back in the main room, and if you did want to jump back into a small group, let us know. We only have about 5 minutes left in the small groups, but do let us know if you want to be back in one of the groups.
Yeah, that's fine. I just got disconnected.
Oh, okay, yeah, well, we can pop you back in. Do you remember any of the names of the group you're in?
No, I don't.
Okay, we can just put you in any group, and it's just for the next like 4 minutes, but okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is Kent Center. Can you put me back into room 4, please?
Room 4, okay, yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, appreciate.
It's never any fun when you fall out of your group.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like they're both back in groups, correct?
Awesome. I think so.
I didn't do it, so if there's another magic hand.
Just a quick update for those tuning in. I don't think we have any new viewers, but this is the map everyone is working on, and we will soon be rejoined by the main body of the committee and be able to see the awesome discussions that appear to be occurring as we speak, with lots of feedback popping up on this map.
Then we see somebody named Sunshine T1. If you are hearing this and able to let us know if you're a member of the public or a CSC member, we can rename you. So do let us know if you can hear us.
No, no le quebran. Don't break it. Don't break it.
You open it.
Buenas tardes, si pudieran decirme por favor cuál es el número de José, el número que dice José's iPhone y también el A52 de Elvia.
Okay, I have them in my room. And A52 de Elvia is Mario Garcia. And the Jose's iPhone was Jose Ojeda.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone.
Hi, all. Welcome back. Stop me if I'm wrong, but I think if you were in a breakout room and now you're back, you might need to turn on interpretation. So I'll give a moment for that. I don't know if we need to should say that out loud right now in Spanish.
Yeah, I can do it. Si están regresando al grupo grande ahorita, parece que vamos a tener que aprender interpretación otra vez. So, como empezamos al principio de la junta, abajo en el logotipo de globo está interpretación. So, seleccionen inglés y también muden el audio original para que puedan entrar a ese canal. ¿Tienen alguna pregunta?
Sí.
Perfect. So we'll give everyone a moment to get back into that before we do our little report out. In the meantime, I dropped a link in the chat. That link is the map you all just worked on. So we'll share it here in a second. We'll do a report out, but you are all certainly welcome to take a look and click at your leisure. Look at all the great other comments the other groups dropped in there. You can start to see maybe where we had similar discussions. And so that link is for you to play around with.
Jessica, can we add more pins there? Because we didn't even have time to finish in our group.
Yeah, absolutely. So the good part about this is that you saw probably as people were dropping pins, please add your name and your email address so we know who after the breakout groups was adding them. But yep, that's certainly welcome to continue adding. Please indicate whether or not you're a resident as we move forward. We want to kind of see who's playing around with it just for our internal purposes of how people are using the tool. But yes, Bianca, great question. We will also, like I said at the beginning, send this out to everyone for those that were unable to participate today.
I noticed that in your map where we were reporting, there's pictures that we could take. Can residents do that?
Yes, you might not see the pictures show up immediately, but because for like security and sort of like making sure we don't get like random pictures kind of thrown on a public site, it will take a moment for us to moderate it. But yes, if you have pictures you want to add, those sorts of things can certainly be added. Sometimes it does help, right? If we understand the specific vision or visual of the concern. So yes, that's certainly a possibility.
Thank you, Jessica.
Great. So, so Jessica, I think you said, did you want to share the map on your screen as well? Okay, great. And then I think you're on mute, but yeah, perfect. We'll do that first. And then I know that you wanted to make sure we hear from each of the groups.
Absolutely. So I will be
we have a question right now. I don't know if you wanted to address that, Jessica.
Sure. Go ahead, Gustavo.
Yes, I think my question is, are we going to have more meetings on the exercise we just did, or the only option will be for us to provide comments through the map? Or
no, definitely. This is step one of many, many meetings where we talk about our concerns and our solutions. So maybe that's a great segue, if I can, Gustavo, into a little overview of the map and sort of next steps. So I am sharing my screen here. the map, and this is all being recorded. So if anything I'm saying as you go through and you click on the map on your own, you don't quite remember that you can pull the YouTube link off our website and rewatch this part of the video. But as you pull up the map here, there's a little filter button up here because you can start to see there's lots of clusters, of course, within the actual community of Lamont, community of Arvin, and then certain sort of areas in between, maybe a couple areas outside we think might be impacting. But you can also turn off some of the comments that pertain to certain types of sources. So you can see there's certainly a lot of concerns about heavy duty trucks, not quite as many about cars. Definitely, I don't think I saw any on off-road mobile. A couple about smoke, certainly a lot about dust. That was a main concern. And then industrial sources, and then other, meaning lots of things that maybe didn't quite fit in those categories. And as you'll see, some folks maybe commented on a specific thing that was just, okay, this is a concern of mine. I know as I was clicking through, some of the comments actually had some potential solutions. So to Gustavo's question, we're going to use this as our baseline and start to build up to solutions. And some of these were just questions. Maybe, what is this? I smell something or I see something. So that will help the district and the California Air Resources Board and some of our other agency partners. Maybe we need to just do a better job of communicating what these things are. Maybe we need to do something, maybe not for the source itself, but for protecting people around the source. So that is how we're going to continue to use this moving forward. I just want to say it's this type of exercise, the reason we've been so excited, it's really fun to start to see we all independently worked. And some of these are one-offs, right? We saw maybe one or few comments here, but you can see clearly there's maybe a common theme. We're seeing dust on the roads. We're seeing areas where there's some concerns, and I'll show you how to actually translate some of these here in a moment here. But concerns about dust maybe from construction operations, or a different type of maybe tracking dirt from trucks was something that I heard often. I heard a lot of concerns about heavy duty truck traffic, about walkability, but I'll definitely hear from all of you. So that's what we're here to do. And we'll definitely go into the breakout groups. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just kind of hear from the different groups what the main themes were.
And just a reminder to, kind of just share in about 30 seconds since we are short on time, but we would love to hear kind of the highlights from each of your group. If there were major kind of things that bubbled up or kind of new examples that people had not thought about or heard about. So let's see, which group, should we start with group, was there a group one? Let's see, maybe we start with the lead from each.
So Zong, if you know the lead, maybe that will be helpful. Who was the leader for group one? Or if you know you were the leader for group one.
Group one was Jasenia and Silvana's group.
Okay, hi everyone. So we had a great conversation. I will be reporting for our group. So a couple of highlights of the comments that they said was of the pollution going on around the current oil and refinery, odor coming out of there, also flares that can be seen from homes and that last for hours. Also a lot of truck traffic happening around the Greenway Farms, which produces high levels of pollution. And also a lot of pollution going around the almond orchards, the one that is near the current oil refinery. There's a lot of dust there and a lot of pesticide odors coming out of there. There's also something similar happening in an almond orchard near an AM/PM. And there's a potential trash burning happening around the area. A smell can be detected from homes near the Hilltop Doctor Road. And then that is within the almond community. In Arvin, there are a lot of issues related to oil wells. There's some within and near residential areas, which are apartments and schools, and a lot of traffic from heavy duty trucks that go through the main avenue of Arvin. And some of the things that really concern the community from this is that it really impacts the quality of life from children. They really try to keep their kids indoors all the time to reduce exposure, and they also are concerned the pets and birds are impacted from pollution.
Great, thank you, Yesenia. Excellent. You guys covered a lot in your group. Okay, so group 2, who's Zong, who led group 2? And if we could try to be a little shorter for the rest of the report outs as well, since we only have about 9 minutes left in the meeting.
Sure, group 2 was Mari Serra.
So that would be Gustavo Sr.
In our group, what we covered, we started from Fuller Acres with the refinery. I think same concerns that already were shared. It looks like a junkyard that is may not be permitted in that area. The Highway 184 and Highway 223, that those two roads cross in the heart of the communities of Lamont and Arvin. All the contamination that they produce, going through the heart of those communities. The dairies close to Lamont and Arvin. The packing houses that are, in the area, but mainly on the Giorgio between Comanche and 184. The pesticides, operations, near the communities. The dust coming from almonds when the harvest season is on, and oil wells also, the concern that, like an example, one of the incidents that happened in the community of Arvin, that contaminated homes up there. So that was also shared. So those are some of the main topics that we covered.
Okay, thank you, Gustavo. Awesome. Excellent. So group 3, Gabriela will be doing the report out. And if you could just share kind of like your top 3 kind of sources of concern people talked about just in a few seconds so that we can make sure to get to every group. Do we have Gabriela?
Sí, nosotros tenemos las fuentes de contaminación más, que están más a la vista y más preocupantes, que vienen siendo los pozos de petróleo, las cosechas, los químicos que se usan para los files que están alrededor de la ciudad. También hay files cerca de las escuelas que también están contaminando el ambiente. Y tenemos fuentes industriales de químicos. Hay una en la esquina de Comanche, de Sycamore y Tejón. Esas son las fuentes que nosotros encontramos.
Yeah, we can see the sources of pollution that we have around, and we see the oil places and all the chemicals that are being used in the fields. We have some fields around some schools, and we can see all this pollution in the environment. And also we see the industries around Sycamore and Tejon corner. So those were the ones we found.
Excellent. Gracias, Gabriela. Okay, group 4, who would be presenting from group 4? And again, just a couple of highlights in a few seconds.
Hi, everyone. This is Cesar from group 4. We had dairies, traffic, oil sites like the Kern Oil Refinery and oil within neighborhoods, as well as ideas like trees and how to maintain the trees by giving infrastructure to water them and making sure that they stay alive for a long time. And the last thing is keeping an eye on governmental boards like water boards and taking a look at their operations.
Great, thank you, Cesar.
Well, I think just to kind of expand for group 4 was the governmental activities. So for the community service districts and as well as the city, the recreation and parks, and the water treatment facilities.
Great. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, group 5, can we hear from you?
That would be me as far as the note taker.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm just going to hit on the ones that I haven't already heard to help save time. So Lots of comments about unpaved roads, curb, sidewalk, and gutter, pedestrian areas that are still dirt and that's causing pollution and particulate matter. Packing plant traffic, both in Arvin and Lamont. Dairy, exposure of chemicals and waste from dairy and exposure of methanes. Driving on empty lots. There's a lot of people who are driving across empty lots throughout the city, and I believe both in Arvin and Lamont. That's causing a lot of air pollution. And then finally, there's a need for increased street sweeping and zero emission street sweepers and zero emissions buses, both through the Arvin School District and transportation sources, bus sources. That's it.
Great, thank you, Christine. So I think next we have group 6.
That'll be me reporting back. And some of the major takeaways were agricultural activities around the pesticide use, harvesting causing dusting, and open ag burning. The other one was the oil and gas. So it's a refinery at the community north of Lamont and in Hilltop. The 2 flares in the community of Arvin across the street from Arvin High School, and the endless storage facility tanks that are there potentially causing ventilation. The Recology composting facility between the communities of Arvin and Lamont. And then a lot of the dairies and animal, like the chicken coops and chicken farms, etc., around the communities of Lamont and Arvin.
Great, thank you, Gus. Awesome. Okay, and then it looks like we have group 7 next with Melinda Palmer.
Yeah, hi. Our group focused a lot on the dust, which, you know, the other groups have covered in the various sources there, whether it be lack of paving or agricultural dust or otherwise. Certainly the identification of heavy truck emissions through the major transportation corridors and looking at ways that maybe alternate routes can go around the main part of both Lamont and Arvin with alternative routes there maybe as a possibility. And then, you know, certainly, as others have pointed out, there's industrial sources such as the refinery, or maybe it's the packing houses and a lot of the food processing that's in the area. Those were, I think, our biggest.
Great, thank you, Melinda. Excellent. And was there a group 8? I forget now, Zong. Were there more groups? No, okay, that was the final group. Excellent. Well, thank you for the report outs. It's really great to see kind of the breadth as well as the themes that we're seeing from each group. Jessica, is there anything you want to chime in on there?
I just want to thank you all for doing this sort of experiment with us. We certainly want all of your feedbacks. We don't have lots of time right now, but let us know, drop us a line or you know, touch base with someone who you know is connected, you know, the Gustavo, some of those people that we talked about being co-leads, right, that you interact with. Let them know and they'll let us know how you think this went. And like I said, we will follow up in an email for those that were unable or those that have more comments with this link that I dropped in the chat, as well as instructions for those that maybe need a little bit of help on using the tool. So thank you all so much.
Great, excellent. Thank you all. The start of much more of this type of work together. So it's a great way to start off. So I know that we have a little bit of wrap up and next steps. You know, again, we know that the charter discussion is next week, that meeting on August 5th. And then our regular monthly CSC meeting will be August 25th. And Jessica, do you want to share anything else around the agenda for that meeting or any other next steps?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the agenda for that meeting, we hope to talk a little bit more about, we talked a lot about sources, kind of we generally feel are of pollution, but we definitely want to share with you what we understand are those sources of pollution. So we talk about emissions inventory, we'll kind of get into what that even means, and just kind of air quality in general. So it will definitely be more of a, maybe a little bit more of a learning and less of this like feedback, but we definitely, as always, will have an open discussion.
Excellent, thank you. Any other final questions or comments about today's meeting or any questions about next steps?
I just want to say thank you. This was a really exciting and fun exercise, and I'm really glad we got to this point. Thank you, everybody. It takes a tribe.
Excellent. Thank you, Christine. Yeah, we hope that you enjoyed it and got to meet some of your fellow CSC members in a smaller, intimate setting. So we'll be doing more of that for sure. And then one quick note, there's still one final person we want to make sure we capture, Sunshine T1. If that is a CSC member, we just want to make sure that we capture you. So please let us know if that's the case. All right, thank you all and have a good evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Buenas noches.
Gracias, Marta.
Adiós, buenas noches.
Gracias, buenas noches.
Buenas noches. Gracias.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Gabriela. Gracias.
Gracias, buenas